Secretary Beckham, I wanted to, like Representative Zalestowski, I wanted to just say thank you to the governor and to you for the state's commitment to the fiscal guardrails, and it's important, and I like the way the world is viewing us. It's a nice change. A lot of the issues around the guardrails, play out in public, and I just want to hear you and ask you to comment on whether these guardrails are actually the handcuffs they're being portrayed as being by some people, or if they are indeed, and how they are indeed adjusted upward. Is that by CPI? Is that by rate of inflation, or is that not at all? So it's important for everybody to know that that as we talk about sustainable budgets, they're not necessarily fixed.
Yes, you're right. The elements of the guardrails do increase over time. The spending cap itself goes up every year, either by the greater of inflation or the increase in personal income. In fiscal year 25, it's the growth in personal income is higher than inflation, which is a good place to be. I think everyone agrees. You want personal income growing faster than inflation, and sure enough, it is. Not by a lot, but it is a higher number next year. So for the spending cap alone, the growth in personal income represents, I like to think of it as the taxpayer's ability to pay, right? So we're getting an increase in our personal income. If you want to go past the spending cap guardrail, you're advocating spending money faster than our taxpayers can make it. So I think that's an important guardrail to adhere to. The volatility cap increases over time. The threshold for it increases over time. I forget the exact metric for it, but it's up, I think, another 600 or 700 million since it was enacted. It's personal income growth, I'm told. So that much more money is actually going to the general fund, not going to volatility since it was enacted. It does grow over time, that threshold. There may come a time in the not too distant future when that threshold goes up so much that we don't get a volatility cap deposit. It's all going to go to the general fund. So that's always increasing, the volatility cap piece. So they are flexible in that way. Obviously, they're flexible by their terms, both in the Constitution and in the statute. The governor can declare an emergency by a supermajority. We can exceed the caps. If we have an economic downturn, I'm sure we will consider that. We had to take extraordinary measures 15 years ago. It wasn't just a rainy day, it was a hurricane. And for those who were here, it was a very difficult time. We had a very slow decade of recovery from that. We cut a lot of spending. We raised a lot of taxes. Fortunately, the federal government gave us a bunch of money. But even on top of that, we had to borrow money. We had to borrow more than $2 billion in economic recovery notes that it took about 10 years to pay off. That's what happens when you don't have a built-in system of fiscal guardrails. So as I said, we have sister states around the country who are experiencing significant financial difficulties. They are cutting spending and raising taxes, but not here.
Thank you very much for that. That's important to hear. And I was here for the hurricane and the $2 billion worth of spent bonding and all that. And I got to say that this is a better thing for our taxpayers. So thank you so much for that.